All right, we're here with Dan. He's going to actually be the first guest on the podcast. So,
yes.
Yeah, let's talk. I'm going to ask Dan a couple of questions here. We were talking earlier. We've been playing a little bit of phone tag, and that happens sometimes. But usually, we're both kind of going through. We're just having a little rough time, and then when we talk, we find that out. And then we kind of talk, and then we feel better. So we have this, this connection, and this goes back since we met when we were younger. And then Dan actually helped me get through tough times, and pretty much saved my life. But I'll talk about that later on. Right now, we're going to talk about Dan a little bit and what he's been through. So yeah, you were telling me earlier about an accident. This is before you moved up to the projects where we met at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was like 94 or whatever. So yeah, what happened back then?
Well, I was living out in the country in Hopestown, going to Southside School, and it was in the summertime. I don't believe it may have been in the wintertime. My mom's boyfriend was taking her to take this lady to work in Aliquippa, and there was this guy that was drunk on the back road, on Independence Road, that takes you towards Giant Eagle and Bryn Garden. He put in a van, and the guy was drunk. He just lost his son. He was drinking whiskey. He probably drunk driven all the time. Drunk and drive all the time. And there was a head-on collision, and my mom went to the windshield. She had to get dirty at Staples, so it was quite a while we didn't get to see her. We didn't get to see my mom for quite a while. She was in the hospital. And then whenever we did get to see her, she had this thing wrapped around her head. And she busted her head open a little bit.
Was it a halo thing?
I don't know what it was.
Was it like screwed into her forehead?
No, not like that.
Okay, because I had one of those.
It was just a wrap,
Yeah.
So we were all down and out on that. But whenever she got better and she started telling us...
Well, who's we? You, your brother, and your sister?
Yeah, me and my brother's a year older than me.
Okay.
My sister's
Okay.
3 years younger than me.
Okay.
And, my mom, of course we're at home. We're home from school, actually. We were home from school.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Rose she passed away, God bless. She was watching us. She was like, your mom is at the hospital. She'll be all right. So, there was some interference with that because some guy came over and said, it's possible that your mom died.
Yeah.
And I think she was life flighted. And,
but that guy was mean about it, right?
Yeah, he was a little bit cocky, yeah. He was like...
Yeah, you don't say that.
Yeah, well, he said that. And,
who was it? The guy that was in the accident?
No, his wife was in the vehicle with them. That's who they were taking.
Well, who was the cocky guy that told you your mama might not make it?
He lived across from us.
Oh, he had nothing to do with none of it.
No.
Wow.
His wife was in the van. That's who they were taking.
Oh, okay. But he still shouldn't have said that. Yeah, okay.
And then when we got further on, my mom came home and she was able to get home.
So she was okay? Was she in a coma though, or what?
No, she was okay.
Okay.
And then, whenever she said they pronounced her dead. I forgot to tell you that, Joey.
Okay, yeah.
They pronounced her dead for a short while. She said Jesus asked her, if you wanted her to come home, or if, and she said, no, I don't want to come home to heaven. I want to take care of my 3 kids. So she did,
Yeah.
She did her best.
She saw Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, she saw Jesus. Jesus was talking to her. She remembers he had a very nice cup and a necklace that he had around his neck.
Yeah, tell me the details. Yeah, you said it was like so.
In a white robe with a wrap, like a tie.
Yeah, around the waist, like a red. It was red, you said?
Yeah, it was red.
Okay, white and red, yeah.
Yeah, and
a cup. He was drinking out of it.
Yeah, he was drinking out of a cup she couldn't describe, and she couldn't describe his necklace. She was just like, it's all things. It's so interesting, but you can never comprehend how good it is in heaven. I don't believe she was in heaven, but she was talking to God while he was in heaven.
Like on the way there, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it white? Like what was it? White and all like lights, or what? Does she say what it looked like, or she just remembered seeing Jesus?
He said there was light around him, a lot of light around him, and it was just him.
Yeah.
There was nobody else. I mean, might have been angels or something. She didn't say that.
Wow. And he looked just like you said.
She said he doesn't look the same as he does in all the pictures that are drawn of him. She said his power is just awesome.
Okay.
It's called the Holy Spirit that dwells in us. It's just so good. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's just amazing as you got to come back. Yeah, because I was telling you earlier was like, we're still here because we ain't done yet. And when their purpose is, they die after their purpose is served.
Like my daughter's 16 years old, and I haven't seen her since she was going on 13, I believe. Yeah, she was going on 13. And she's 16 now, and she was born November 21st. So, I'm here for a reason. Maybe one day she might need me. You know what I mean?
Get back to her again.
She hasn't talked to me in a long time or hung out with me. But maybe she might need some help one day. You know what I mean?
You'll get back to her. It'll happen in God's time. And just like God said, your mom said, no, I don't want to go yet. I got to go back and save my kids, and she did. And she's still here, so she's still helping. She's still got to be here.
So let us know a little bit more about whenever we started hooking up and going places. And we were out eating at McDonald's, and we were out eating at Belusio's, and all these places. Well, we went out to only 2 places we went to, I believe.
And you want me to talk about it now? Were you on here?
We're going to know just about how I inspired you to turn your life over to the Lord Jesus Christ and read your Bible.
Well, you want me? I'll do it with you on. I was going to do it by myself, but I'll do it with you so you can get to talk too with it. Yeah. So when we were younger, we met the project. Me and Dan, and I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed to say that. I mean, hey, we're all poor. You know what I'm saying? And project don't mean it's not a bad thing because it's tough, and you gotta deal with crap. So it's more like being a soldier and taking a mark. It's not like it's a project. Don't think down on that. But that's where we lived. That's where we could afford to live, right? My mom didn't pay. She had problems and didn't pay rent a lot, so we moved around a lot. So we moved in there because it was cheap, But yeah, so we moved in there, and that's where me and Dan met and hung out. And I think I was there a couple of years, and my mom didn't pay the rent, so we moved somewhere else. But ever since then, every couple of years, me and Dan would run into each other somewhere at the mall or out to eat. I'd be on the bus, just out doing my thing.
You got to admit, Joe, it was fun living in the projects, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Because I think about it now. Well, I used to go by Joey when I was younger, Joseph, so it's Harold Joseph, just so people know my real name. But it was fun because we got, like I say, we got to be kids, and nobody treated anybody differently. We're all kids, and it wasn't you're black, white, handicapped, a wheelchair, you got this disability, and nobody cared. We were all like just outside and hanging out. Huh?
It was like a big village that raised other looked out for other kids, and some parents might allow other parents whoop their kids' butt.
It's not like that now, though, because you know what? If one person's getting beat up now, what happens? They just stand around and videotape it.
Now,
but back then, nobody's getting messed with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's getting messed with.
Remember, at the same time, when people came up here that was didn't, what I'm saying, like people that came up here that weren't, they might get jumped or something. But nobody picked on nobody that lived up there, because our parents, all of our parents knew everybody up there. Our parents known our other parents, and I had great neighbors, Shushu Nene, You know, they had little brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and you know, it was fun up here, man. We did a lot of fun things. We used to remember Joey used to come to the basketball court.
Yeah.
Then you moved downtown, Joey, and you started playing hockey, huh?
Yeah.
Down in,
well, let me get back to the story because I have to cut all this out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I want to get back to where we were inspired, so we were running into each other all those years, and I've been looking for a way to go to church and whatnot, but I just kind of, I didn't want to go alone, and then I started losing my sight, and then I went blind, and I was very depressed. And like I was telling you earlier, on the way to the one of the last eye doctors I went to when I was blind, I had to go like 7 blocks in Ambridge in the wheelchair, blind, down the main street, and back to the parking lot because I couldn't see, and the nurses wouldn't help me. They wouldn't even walk me out to the bus stop. So for a brief second, I thought about driving out and just right in front of one of the cars because I couldn't see them coming. And I thought, well, what's the point if I'm going to be blind and in a wheelchair and I can't do nothing? But the only thing at the moment keeping me from doing that was, what if I lived and I was worse, like a vegetable, or I couldn't do anything at all. And that was sad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you called me and you kept calling me and leaving me messages to check up on me. And I was so depressed for a while, I didn't call you like 2 months. But I got the messages, but nobody... And still, people, I don't have people to call me. But you call me and I call you and we check on each other. That's all that matters. So you kept calling and then I said, Dan cares. One person cares. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? And that got me, that helped me. And then you start writing. We went out to church a few times. We tried a few different ones. I'm still trying different churches. But you got me into doing that. And the first audio book I got was the Bible. And I'm on the 3rd time through that, and you inspire me.
You write it twice, and you're in Psalms right now, right?
Yeah, and the 3rd time, yeah.
You've done it 3 times.
And what did you say? What's your quote about me about the Lord?
You're on fire for Jesus Christ, Jim.
Yeah, I'm on fire for the Lord. Remember, I never heard that before. You told me, and that's true because ever since then, and this is the other part of that story. That night. Or the day I got home and I was just so depressed, and I begged God to take me that night. I said, if it ain't gonna get no better, then what's the point of 43 years worth of suffering? Why did I go through all of this? And I'm blind now, and I can't.
You gave your life to the Lord. You're more comfortable.
Yes.
You're more secure.
He snapped me. He woke me up. He saved me. You know what I mean?
He snapped you out of it, huh?
Because I quit breathing 20-something times that night. Because I have sleep apnea. Sometimes I quit breathing. Sometimes it doesn't happen for months. Sometimes a couple times in a night. But I never had it that bad. I mean, I couldn't. Every time I fell asleep, 5 minutes, I'd wake up. I couldn't breathe, and it scared me. It put the fear. Like God was like, you're either going to come with me now, or you're going to be here, and you're going to deal. You got to deal with it. Do it. You're here to do something. Oh, hold on. That's a sound you have to get used to. But yeah, it woke me up. It got me. I was afraid at that moment. Then I wasn't afraid after that. You know what I mean? Once you're not afraid to die, you can live.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid after that. And now when that happens, sometimes it happens still. I wake up in the middle of the night and my heart is like it stopped because that's what happens. With sleep apnea, it's a medical condition. You stop breathing for a couple minutes sometimes, but your body will wake you up eventually.
Yeah.
So it'll happen now, but I'm not scared because if God wants to take me, hey.
And you had juvenile rheumatoid
arthritis, and
as a kid,
since I was born,
bones used to stir up. You said like 4'4", 4'3".
Yeah, and about 75 pounds.
In a wheelchair.
And I've been in a wheelchair since I was 10 years old. An electric wheelchair that you drive.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pastor here. So we went. One of the churches we went to, Pastor Ron, right? One day, you you just weren't up for going to church. So you called him, and what did you say to him about me and helping me go to church?
Well, no, it was just like we had two Wednesdays.
Okay.
We served 7 o'clock, I believe.
Okay.
And I called him like a couple days after, before next Wednesday, and I said, you know, if I ever miss out on getting Joey off the van, because he got to get down off a ramp in a van, in a wheelchair, you have to be directed left, right, straight.
Yeah, because I'm blind. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't. Usually you ride the wheelchair all around Beaver County.
Yeah, but now I can't because I can't see no more.
And then I said to him, I said, is there anybody in the church that could take my place if I ever miss out on, so he said, the pastor said, I said, well, what about Harold? He said, well, that's not good. Harold got his own set of problems. He got anxiety.
There's a guy there named Harold, right? There was a guy that went there named Harold, too. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. How much anxiety do you have you can't direct a wheelchair 30 feet?
Yeah.
10 yards or whatever into the church.
So he said that guy couldn't do it, yeah.
Yeah, and you had a real good van driver.
Yeah, Leonard,
yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy picking us up for a while, yeah.
He could have probably helped you in there.
Yeah.
But he said Harold has his own set of problems. He has anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety.
So do I.
Yeah. Everybody does. And then I said, well, what about Joey? And he said, he's too busy in here whenever we're getting started. So I said,
There's a guy named Joey there, too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I said, you know what? I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I washed my hand.
Okay.
I stopped going there.
Yeah.
And then I seen him late, like a month ago.
Well, what did he say about the project, though?
Oh, he said, that's your project, my project.
Yeah, that I'm your project, or you shouldn't take on a project or something, right?
Yeah, I shouldn't take on a project.
That's what gave me the idea for this podcast. So I was going to do a book first, but the podcast, I figured can reach people sooner.
Yeah, no bitterness towards these people.
No, but that's just not where you want to learn. That's the same thing with me, because he seemed like he was against certain people, even people of color, gay people, people that are disability, or people that he might think is different. He feels above them, like he treats like he's better, right? Did you feel that? And
yeah,
he's 50 years, right? He's been there, he said. Well, that don't mean you're God, right?
Yeah, and it's the same people all the time.
They don't want new people, right? Yeah, I got the same feeling. I tried it for a month or whatever, but that's okay. You'll find the place where we'll get there. So one more thing I wanted to ask you about. You've had your own paranormal things, right? Have you ever seen ghosts before in the past, or heard little weird, like haven't you had ghost experience? Or you live somewhere that was haunted? Because remember earlier you were telling me about how downtown Aliquippa, you think that there's just
downtown, the whole stretch down there from Kennedy Boulevard all the way up to the mill.
Yeah, where I live down here, yeah.
Yeah, one day you're going to wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah, you're telling me this after I've been hearing Boise, because all these houses are haunted. But have you ever lived somewhere and you've seen one, or seen a ghost at somebody's house, or heard stuff, anything?
Yeah.
Well, tell me, what are your experience?
Well, when I was in a critical care, this drawer kept on opening and shutting, and it would open like, I would try to keep I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I would try to keep my eyes to the side, see when it would open. I was freaking out.
Why were you in critical care? An accident?
Yeah, I was just having some health problems.
Jesus. See, you got The Shining. You've been close to death too. That's what I mean. People with these, there's people that have things happen to them can sense these things. That's why I'm asking you if you've seen a ghost.
Well, the drawer, it was just a regular drawer. It kept on opening and closing.
In the hospital.
It was a little tricky to catch it. The drawer open and close.
Yeah.
It was only like somebody was pulling. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't just open and close it. Yeah, it's one of them things that catches.
Yeah.
And what other than that? I mean,
yeah.
Is that the only thing in your whole life?
Probably, yeah. Right
Just
now.
the drawer. You haven't seen nothing or heard? You've heard, didn't you? I thought you said you heard stuff at places you were at.
I don't remember.
No, nothing. Never had dreams?
Yeah, wild dreams, yeah.
I mean, you've had dreams. Have you ever had dreams that happen, that have happened?
I don't remember. I really can't say.
You never dreamed of something that came through? So that's the only paranormal thing you can think of that happened is the drawer opening and closing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say one day I could take you to a haunted place, but I wouldn't be able to see, so that wouldn't help you.
Yeah.
But you know that there's things out there. So
Yeah.
that's all that matters. Let's see here. What else? I think that's good because we're going to have a half hour more worth of stuff right there, man. That's a lot. That's good. You're going to be the first guest and take up the whole thing, but people need to. And then when we think of other things, like maybe one day music or I don't know, whatever else stuff you like to do, we'll just talk about it. People like to hear opinions on it.
Yeah.
So one day, we'll do this again here, and
Okay.
whatever kind of hobbies, whatever you are into, like just what you enjoy, man. We'll just talk about life, or more. We'll talk about more God. We'll talk about more religious. But well, I'm gonna give you a call. I'll call you back, or give me a call here in a couple of days.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, man. Love you, man.
All right. Love you too. Be the light.
Bye. Bye.
All right, bye. So Dan is somewhat shy and a little withdrawn still, and maybe one day he'll be comfortable enough to share this himself. I explained to him that it is not weak to feel bad about things that happen to us. We need to turn it around into a lesson and be stronger because we survived. Here is some of Dan's testimony. When he was a kid, they said he was abused by his father, and he's still not sure quite what happened. He don't remember. And sometimes other kids weren't even allowed to hang out with him because of this. Dan also says if he has a chance to talk to his dad again, he would, because he forgives him. So yeah, we met, and I hadn't known this. I didn't know this at the time. How would I know as a kid? But I didn't treat him any differently, and he didn't treat me any differently being in a wheelchair. And so we hit it off as good friends at that time. And then years later, as well, we ran into each other again. But he explained to me how, as a teenager, he was into drugs and even got in lots of trouble and went to jail. And then that's when he found the Lord, and he found Christ, and started going to church, and became saved. And for over 20-something years, he's been sober and been saved. On a side note, I had called the pastor that mentioned the word project a few days after Dan said this to me, just to get his opinion. And he rebutted and even dug himself deeper by saying things to me like, people like Dan, whatever that's supposed to mean, do not ever get help. Someone in my situation or condition, being in a wheelchair and blind now, can't really do much to contribute or help or even spread the Lord's word. And the pastor himself, as I said before, he's 50 years he's been doing it, he said, and he's probably maybe 80 years old, I guess, and he was in a scooter, a power scooter. And he goes out places and hands out pamphlets, So to tell someone they can't do something, that fired me up, and that also inspired me. And it inspired me. Dan inspires me because Dan can do things. I can do things. It's not. You can't tell someone they can't do something. So I named this podcast the Sullivan Project because we are all projects. I just took what he said and reversed it and used it for positive. And this helps. If someone comes at you a certain way, use it as motivation. However you have to do it, just use it for positive. Turn the dark, negative into light. You can do that. We can all do that. As I mentioned, Dan's inspiring too. Dan inspired me. Dan took me to the church a few times, those churches. He rode with me on the bus that comes door to door. And we went out to eat a few times, as he mentioned. And one of them was to McDonald's in the middle of this pandemic. And people couldn't go in. And I didn't know at the time that we couldn't go in to eat. So we went through the drive-thru, and I was in my power wheelchair. We got off the door-to-door bus, let us off in the parking lot. We got off, and I had to go through the drive-thru in the wheelchair with cars behind us. We put the order in, and he asked the lady, can we just come in and sit? It's cold, it was rainy and damp. We had over an hour before our ride was coming back, and they wouldn't let us in. And Dan was persistent. 3 times at least he asked them. He kept knocking on the window. And then even people were beeping in the drive-thru and asking them to let us in. They could at least let us in. And finally they came around. One of the ladies said, we'll let you in. And the food was cold but I was happy and appreciative that I got to go in and get warm and sit at a table with my friend and not have to be out in the rain until the bus came back. And out in the rain, and I didn't have to sit out in the rain until the bus came back. And Dan taught me to just be more open and just say things and be to not care so much that someone may say something that you may take offense or be negative. And Dan is very uplifting like that, and he has inspired me and helped me to want to do these things, like helping people with the podcast. Also, that pastor, when he said those things to me that I couldn't do anything or I couldn't help people, from then on I made the vow that I will do everything I can to help people, whatever it is I can, for the rest of my life, and to serve the Lord. Dan also has a lot of problems and things going on inside. Being empathic, I can feel his turmoil, and it feels like his soul is just shifting and being spun around and just never gets peace and rest. And he does a good job somehow keeping all this contained, which I can feel is trying to get out. But he does the best he can with his disabilities or illnesses, if you want to call them, either way. I tell him we all have things to offer. We all have light to give. And we're all here for a reason. Dan keeps pushing forward, even though people may come at him or feel a certain way, not even knowing him or the way he has been treated or how he feels as a person. If you like the show, please leave a rating. And if you want to be a guest, or you have something you want us to talk about, hit me up. That's on Facebook, Harold Sullivan, #35, and TikTok and YouTube, Harold Sullivan 78. Be the light. And remember, love is a choice, and so is to hate.